here. Starts off pretty gosh darn well. Well, maybe not that well. We don't score in the first period, but Matthew Barzal, ton of opportunities in that first period. That top line of Barzal, Horvat, and Duclair looks fantastic. They looked fantastic today. They didn't get any scoring done in the first period, but nor did the Rangers. But what stood out is that the Islanders outskated the Rangers throughout most of the game. They were just on them. It was embarrassing at one point how the Islanders were just all over them. Like Walter said, pretty much dominated. We pretty much did dominate for most of the game. Most. There's a very specific portion of the game where we very much did not. But I digress. First period, not a whole lot to talk about. Not a lot of scoring. There's that obviously the fight. Philip Hedl goes down after taking contact from Scott Mayfield. Now, I know Rangers fans were screaming to the high heavens, dirty hit, knee on knee. It very much was not dirty. It very much was not knee on knee. Thankfully, Hedl could continue and play the game later on in the game, but still he came back. There was a fight where Scott Mayfield really just took over and overpowered Ryan Lindgren easily. So it wasn't much of a contest there. As Walter says, I totally agree. It was clean. And yes, Vegeta with Binky, absolutely. Thankfully, Hedl was able to come back. You don't want to see anyone getting hurt, specifically in the preseason where the games don't matter, right? Like that. And for him specifically as well, Hedl missed so much time last year with an injury. You would hate for him to fight back and come back and get to peak health again. And then boom, day one, out with an injury. That would suck so much. So yes, glad he is back. Glad he was able to continue. So that is ideal, but nothing really crazy in that first period. The scoring as well, or the shots you'll see here, 9-7 in favor of the Islanders. Decent period for the Islanders. And then the second period happened where our top line really started to take over. Clearly, just when you look at the score sheet here, Barzal, 2 goals, Duclair, 2 assists. That first one specifically was fantastic. This the give and go, absolutely fantastic. Grant Hunt gets one that deflects off someone else, I believe. No, I wouldn't count it as his goal. But the Islanders were absolutely dominating proceedings. At one point, shots were 21-7 in favor of the 21-12 in favor of the New York Islanders. It was just pure domination by the Islanders. I want to bring up the underlying numbers, just kind of hammer in that domination, if you will. And you can tell I was searching for some sneakers here. So if I go to their game, here is, and we look at the summary in terms of the expected goals here. The Islanders had 2 expected goals by the second period. By the end of the second period, they had 2 expected goals. They had 3, so they had scored more than expected. Obviously, that Grant Hutton one, not expected. To the Rangers, 0.73 expected goals. That is what you call domination. Look at that. In terms of the Corsi as well, the Islanders were really into it. The game was completely in the Rangers' end, and this kind of leads back to how much the Islanders completely outskated these New York Rangers, specifically early. It was outstanding. The expected goal battle, look at that, all in favor of the Islanders here. You can see that trend line right there. Oops, sorry. Share this tab instead. I'm really sorry. I thought that my browser was following along with the tabs that I had, but it was not. Let me show you again what I was doing. Let me slow down for you. The Islanders expected goals in the first 2 periods, 2. For the Rangers, 0.73. Outstanding stuff. And then you can see here that gray trend line. That's the Corsi 4 at 5-on-5 for the Islanders. Looks great. The expected goals even better for the Islanders. Obviously, it starts going to shit at the end there. Not too great, but we'll get to that. We're only in our second period here. Let's flip back, share this tab instead. Again, the shots 12-9 in favor of the New York Islanders. Looking good. And yes, Vegeta, absolutely. Varley would have won for us. Varlamov was outstanding. He didn't have to do too much, but he was outstanding. He played half the game, which is standard at this period of time. And then Tikkanen came in relief 10 minutes or so into the second period. And it's not that's not when things started coming off, but Tikkanen wasn't great. But yes, Varley would have absolutely won us that game. Just going back to the comments here, Walter, absolutely. Panarin did leave the game, didn't come back. He probably picked up a little bit of a knock, and they're just not going to risk it. Just whatever. You sit, bud. We don't have to risk it. I think we would have done the same thing if Matthew Barzal had picked up something. So yeah, the skating, all in favor of the Islanders. Everything looked fantastic for us. And then comes the third period. Zach Jones scores 6 minutes into the third period, puts the Rangers up on the board. Bad play along the boards from us between Noah Dobson and Etu Lucas. Noah pinches, probably shouldn't have. Etu Lucas is kind of stuck at the point there, does a bad pass, gets intercepted, and it goes good goal by him, by Zach Jones. They're on the board. Whatever. We're up 3-1. Doesn't matter. A minute later, Bo Horvat scores. Probably shouldn't have counted, but whatever. We'll take it. We were about to go on the power play anyways. He scores. We're up 4-1. We are all feeling confident and chesty at this point, and rightfully so. We're up 4-1, and we're dominating proceedings. We look fantastic in this game. And then the wheels start coming off because we start feeling chesty. Not just the fans, but the players. The players start feeling chesty. They slow down. They're not hunting pucks as much. They're not on them as much. And so you can see the momentum shift, and you can see the tide of the game heading towards the Islanders' end. They get a power play. They score in the power play almost instantaneously. Our penalty kill was awful. And yes, Vegeta, we have been here before multiple times, but preseason. It's preseason. I'm not going to go too crazy. It is preseason. Doesn't mean it doesn't suck. It doesn't mean it doesn't feel bad. It's still just preseason. But so Heel scores right away on the power play. It's like they win the draw. They immediately start pushing us into collapsing us and narrowing down the field of play for us. And then they score. It was just almost automatic. But it doesn't stop. 3 minutes later, Zach Jones again, a blast from the point, because we're not getting on pucks. We're not challenging players. We're not first to battles. We're not even second to battles. We're so far behind the play, it's not even funny. And at this point, Chris Kreider scores, but they've pulled the goalie. They pulled the goalie at like 350, so they might already even have the extra skater when Zach Jones scores. I'm just not entirely sure. Then Chris Kreider scores. And then a minute later, Adam Enstrom scores. And then a minute after that, Chris Kreider seals it with an empty netter. And we went back from up 4-1 to losing 6-4. And it was not fun. It was not fun. We were the team. We were the better team for 90% of this game. And then for that 10%, If you like that, make sure to subscribe to Up the Turnpike on Patreon for more exclusive New York Islanders content.